Hello everybody, I'm super sorry for audio there. Very stressed about trying to get audio sorted and just trying to go. So hopefully we're all good now and you can hear me. Luce, can we hear you?
Hello.
Yay!
I'm good. How are you? I mean, you're stressed, but we're going to have fun. It'll be okay.
I know, and I reckon you
We're
can...
British. We just need tea and biscuits.
I'm hoping that you can't hear Luce twice now. Is that right? Is Luce not echoey? I think you might have had Luce on an echo. Yay! Okay, everyone is audible.
Everyone needs two of me.
I'm super... I don't know what it is about audio and me. We don't mix, Luce. I don't get it.
I like the pun. Audio and mix. I like the pun. But...
Oh, I didn't even get that. That was unintentional pun.
Do you know what though? I don't blame you. I blame OBS Ninja because I clicked the link in the document that you share with us to load the room. And then it took me into a room with no sign of anyone. And then in the tab that shares your screen, I couldn't see anything. So I thought you weren't here yet. It turns out you were. It's just OBS Ninja hates us.
I know. Lucy, your volume is low. Okay, wait. I'm going to turn...
Right. I can turn up the gain. I can shout.
Hang on, I can turn you up here as well if I can find you. Wait, I've got to find you in my little thingy-mabobby. Where's Luce? Where's Luce? Guest camera. Oh my god.
I'm right here.
Let me turn... Okay, hang on. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna find Luce. Control. Okay. Wait, there we go. I found you. Okay.
Make me louder. There we go.
You're louder. Yay. Okay. That should be better. I can hear me though, Luce. Have you got me coming over your speakers, not over headphones?
I can switch to headphones. It's just, I can just turn it down. There we go. That should be all right. It's also microphone gain because, fun times. I turned the microphone right up because you couldn't hear me. So I was like, oh, I'll turn the gain right up. But then obviously it picks up too much.
Well, I've managed to turn you up in my setup now. So yay, I think we're sorted. So welcome to the .NET in the Wild show.
Give it 5 minutes. We'll forget about all of this.
This is my really awesome friend, Luce Carter, who I've known for many years, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on stream with me. Yay!
Ooh, thank you for the invite.
Oh, it was just like you were one of the first on my list, Luce, if not the first. You just didn't get in the first place.
Well, as I always say to you, we always have such a good time together no matter what we do, that, whether it's randomly finding a speakeasy in London or speaking at a conference, that if you ask me to do something, I just say yes.
Absolutely. Oh, we'll tell that story about this random speakeasy. We'll have to come back to that. So yes, I was just about to say that, Thindle. You beat me to it. I was going to ask Luce to introduce herself. I normally have a chat command, but my brain is scrambled. I'd normally go like Luce and it would bring you up. So Luce, I'm going to let you explain to everybody who you are, or what's your name and where'd you come from? You'll get that reference. Maybe our non-UK folks won't get that reference, but hopefully you did.
I did. And am I contestant 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, of course, number 1.
Oh, blind date. So obviously, hi everyone, I'm Luce. I am a developer advocate at MongoDB as of June 2021. Layla is responsible for me getting my dream job. So we all know that Layla is the absolute best.
I'm not responsible. You got that all on your own.
But yeah, no. So I work at MongoDB, which, if you don't know, is a very awesome document database company. Great product, but also great place to work. In my spare time, it really does sound like blind date now. In my spare time, I Twitch stream occasionally. I mainly make mobile apps using Xamarin, which is kind of where my .NET in the wildlife is. I'm in the Xamarin jungle. And I love code. I love sharing knowledge with people. I am probably the first person to admit that if I try and write code for more than 5 minutes, I get imposter syndrome. So I'm very much an advocate for, coding is hard. It makes us feel crappy, but that's okay. We'll get through it together. So if you want to enjoy watching anyone struggle to write code, or just want to relate to someone that's like that, just follow me on Twitch. It'd be fun. Why not?
So I mean, we have a lot of stories to talk about because you actually taught me to code live on stage. You taught me some
I
Xamarin,
did.
which was pretty awesome. And you know, we can talk about that. I'm just trying to rearrange my monitors because I'm like drowning in. I have like 5 of you on screen right now, Luce. So I needed to sort that out. So now I've got 2 of you. So that's good. So I want to hear all about Mongo and what you're doing there. And, you know, the whole, your whole stream is about trying to battle imposter syndrome. So we can talk about that. So chat, any questions you have for Luce, pop them in chat. We'll ping them up on the screen. And we're going to just have an awesome time for the next 90 minutes. I've calmed down already. I was like my breath was hitching. It's terrible. I don't know what it is. We all get that. That's my imposter syndrome, I guess. And now that I've started, everything is awesome, especially as you're here
5
with me,
minutes.
Luce.
Forget about it. It's
I
okay.
know.
These
We're
things
good.
happen.
We're good.
Let's look. You know, we're very lucky that we have a wonderful community of people who are very understanding and supportive. But also, a lot of the time, our community and our viewers are often streamers themselves, and they all know how often things go wrong out of our control. And you know what I'm like. I'm very just go with the flow. Like, you can't do much but smile during a crisis. You just have to stick with it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just seeing in chat some things like that. So about imposter syndrome as well.
I spammed my links at request.
Let me see where we are. So poor Exegete says, I don't think I'm good enough for imposter syndrome. And I think that's quite a common thing as well, isn't it? Like, you know, feeling that your imposter syndrome, like you're not even at the level where you can have imposter syndrome.
Well, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? The better
Yeah.
you think you are, you probably aren't very good, but the more confidence you lack, chances are the more skill you have.
This is it. When you start to realize, I think when you realize that there's so much that you don't know, that's when you start to feel the imposter syndrome. But that's because you know more what you don't know. And it's always about, you know, knowing what you don't know, you can change it and you can learn about stuff, and you know that things are aware around about that and everything like that. So it is a difficult thing to deal with. But I think most people struggle with it unless they're right on the top of that Dunning-Kruger, and then the pile, they're at the top ready to come down.
Yeah, I did share a link in chat for Dunning-Kruger for those who don't know what it is, but
yes.
the link was so long that it got chopped off by Twitch. But you can Google it and you should find out what it is for anyone that's interested.
So it was actually Silicon Orchid who first told me about Dunning-Kruger, and it was really interesting. The more I sort of read about it, the more I saw it in effect. I saw the people who were riding that high, and then I was seeing the people who had crashed down, and it is so interesting when you start researching it. And the thing is, we're all going to go through it. Or have been through it, and I think it's about managing imposter syndrome. And I had a turning point, I have to say. I had a one-to-one session with Sarah Varney, who up until recently was Chief Marketing Officer at Twilio. And I was really stressed about giving a talk at a Women in Tech conference about talking. They wanted me to tell my story. And I was like, why would anyone want to hear about my journey into tech? And I went to her because I really admire her as a public speaker. And I spoke to that and spoke to her, and she broke my imposter syndrome for me. It was the weirdest thing. And I can't really remember what she said. She just said something along the lines of, don't let acknowledge your imposter syndrome, acknowledge it's there, but then don't let it dictate what you do. Just know it's there. But just acknowledge it and then move on. And since I had that conversation with her, it really clicked something in my brain, which was interesting. And so I know that it's still there and I get moments, but it never dominates me anymore, which is a really interesting turn. Whereas, before I was having some problems with it, and I was like, I can't do these things, and I was, having panic attacks about going on stage, and
me with CSS,
all of this, and Nick saying coming to terms with your inner demons. It kind of was she just fixed something in my brain, and I was like, that's it. This isn't going to rule me. This isn't going to stop me doing the things A, I need to do for my job, and B, I want to do because I enjoy them. And since then, I almost don't think about it. It's really odd.
It's like the title of that book, isn't it? Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, it's very much like that. And I just seem to have got around it. And I hope that maybe other people can find that way. And I think that's what you do, isn't it, Luce? You Exegete says, I want to hug whoever this is that set Layla free. Sarah is a great individual. She doesn't think of herself as a mentor or anything like that. She was very she's still alive, just a very down to earth woman, a very inspiring woman. She's a mother of 3. One of her children is autistic, so I think she's very used to dealing with neurodivergence. And she had this conversation with me. She told me this, and since that moment, it's not owned me. So it is interesting.
Which is fantastic. And
yeah,
I think imposter syndrome is one of those things. You hear a lot about it in tech, but it's in so many other industries. Like my stepdad has been a variety of everything from estimator to quantity surveyor and those kind of things in construction. And I was talking to him about it a few months ago, and he didn't know what the term was, but it was like, oh, we see that everywhere in our industry. Just didn't know what it was. And it's a psychological concept, I think. And the more we can be open about it, like with mental health stigma, to me, imposter syndrome is almost a form of mental health, because it gives you the same, it has the same consequence a lot of the time, like you say, with panic attacks and sweating and insecurity and self-doubt and all these things. And the more we can just be open about it and go, do you know what? It's a thing. It really is. Like you say, just facing your inner demons. You're just going, hey, monster, I know you exist, but bring it on.
Well, that's it. Nick, the first one, has just said that his dad actually helped him a lot with this, and he doesn't even know about it. So it's just like you say, it's really common. I think just in tech, we've given it a name. We like naming things, and we do name things badly sometimes. But that book. Was that it? Sorry, Thindle, I thought you were saying who was I talking about. So, I mean, it is really common, I think. Lots of people, even when I was teaching people on their horses or riding, if people were going to competition, they were like, I can't do that. I can't compete at that level. I'm not good enough. I'm going to make a fool of myself. And that's imposter syndrome as well, even though they're practicing that thing all the time. And it is so common. And I think we all have this sort of self-doubt, unless we're really overconfident buffoons riding that thing at the top of them,
Yes. But the thing with imposter syndrome that's interesting is that you get different flavors of it. The most well-known one is where people think that they're a fraud and they're going to get found out. But actually, there's so many more different variations of it. Like, I don't think I'm a fraud. Like, I get imposter syndrome all the time, but I don't in my job. So I don't feel like I'm going to get found out and fired. I've never had imposter syndrome in that way. It's just more of a, oh God, it's more internal than that, rather than thinking almost selfishly and self-centeredly, not thinking about, oh, someone externally is going to find me out. It's more of a, oh God, I can't do this. Why am I doing this? Like, why am I terrible? Why does everyone else find it so easy?
That's really interesting, Luce, because that's the type of imposter syndrome I have. I've never felt like a fraud, because it's like, well, I'm not, I'm here doing it. I am doing this job, or whatever job I was doing. I'm not like when I think of a fraud, I think of someone who is running a con or something, you know, that they're really, I don't know, they're looking for insider trading or something. They're trying to find out, I'm going to pose as a developer to get all the knowledge on the share price or something like that, you know.
Yes.
And that's why it never resonated with me. But I had that sort of type where I'm like, why would anyone want to listen to me? And I do think streaming has helped me. You're a big streamer, Luce, as well. You know, you've streamed hundreds of
Sporadic, but
hours.
yes.
Do you think that streaming has helped you with your getting to grips with your imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I think even I couldn't firmly say one way or the other whether I find that I get imposter syndrome less now that I stream, but I certainly find it much more manageable because you just realize, you know, when you surround yourself with the right people, and you know, we're very lucky that our community is fantastic. But people are just really supportive. You know, if you're struggling with a problem, they throw bits at you to be supportive, and you know, they'll try and help you with your problem, whether it's, you know, giving you code samples or going, oh, I've done this before, have a look at this article. Like, people are just so supportive, it just makes it a lot easier. So yeah, streaming might seem really sort of, you know, it might seem really counterintuitive, like, oh, you know, you doubt yourself, why on earth would you stick yourself on the internet? But actually, if you can just build yourself the right community around what you do, it's a wonderful environment where it's okay to struggle. Because, you know, I write CSS on stream because if you know me well enough, you know, me and CSS are not friends. I stood up on the stage last week at NDC, or week before last at NDC Oslo, and made about 250 plus people laugh because I was talking about how much I hate CSS. But it's true. We just don't get on. People keep telling you it's easy, it's just easy and logical, but as soon as it gets more complicated, it just blows my mind. But rather than hide away from it, I've just learned it on stream, where people that know far more than I do, like our good friend White Panther, will just, I always feel a bit bad because whenever she watches my stream, she feels like she has to intervene with my terrible coding. But, you know, you just surround yourself with the right kind of people who are just there to see you win. It's the same as conference speaking. You know, the audience aren't there to humiliate you and heckle. The audience are watching because they think you have something to say they care about, and they just want you to succeed.
Yeah, I think when I sort of realized that most of the people on my stream, like all the people in chat, the people who hang out on Discord with me, that they're in it with me, not there to laugh at me and point fingers. It really helps, and I can be a complete buffoon and miss something really obvious because I know that they'll point it out to me and they'll do it with kindness, won't you? I know there's a lot of trolls there, but they troll nicely.
Except, Layla, you're not a buffoon. You're a human being that makes mistakes sometimes. It doesn't make you a buffoon. It makes you a human being.
This is true. This is true.
Just because we're on the internet doesn't mean I'm not going to call you out.
Silicon Orchid says, I have a theory that the dev industry has a high percentage of people who are on the Asperger's spectrum, often with reduced empathy, often meaning they will challenge you needlessly and often make you feel bad about stuff, even if they don't really mean to hurt you, but being exposed to that reduces confidence. I've certainly seen that. I've come across a lot of people who, when I was in engineering, who I found, I don't know if it's Asperger's or some sort of other sort of social awkwardness. It makes them just come across as really curt and almost that they don't know how to speak to you. And I think it's that stereotypical developer that you see on the media. And I've had some, you know, really odd people that I've worked with and zero empathy. So it is kind of like a weird thing that we do come across these types of people. And I think it's because the way that your brain works. I remember when I was at university and I studied, my first year I did maths and physics. And the people on physics were really quite unusual. I don't want to say odd, but they were different. And I don't know, they had social awkwardness,
challenges,
and that was the vast majority of them. And I think it's, if you are an analytical brain, I think there's something that, you know, you're more, is it left brain, is that right? If you're more analytical, less arty.
Yes, left brain is analytical, right brain is emotional. Yeah.
So I wonder if you know, if I went on and did mathematics, and there were some really strange people in mathematics as well, and then in development, and I wonder if it's because we have more of a left brainism, you know, or developers and analytical individuals have more left brain dominance. Are they less connected with that right brain empathy, and therefore less able to do the sort of socialness, and they come across as awkward, and different things happen and stuff like that? So I wonder if that kind of is what's happening, you know? Layla being diplomatic. I try.
I mean, to be fair, you've got the wrong guest on if you're going to accidentally offend autistic people. So,
well, I think, Luce, you know, you're very open about mental wellness, autism. You're one of the most open book people I know, and I love that about you. And I remember the first time I met you was actually at a conference, and you were talking about...
You were in the audience.
I was in the audience.
So I don't know if anyone else in chat has ever watched been a public speaker, but one of the things that you learn to do early on is find that friendly face in the audience that you can rely on, that no matter what happens, they will make you feel better. And Layla was that person for me, just smiling and being really encouraging. And I was like, so my first ever conference talk, I was bricking it, and Layla was just there to make me feel better. And from that day on, I was like, I found a friend now. I've got this.
We didn't know each other. I just thought, I'm going to go to this talk by this person, Luce, talking about building their first app in Xamarin. And, you know, I thought, I'm going to go and do that. And it was kind of almost a code along, I seem to remember. And I'm just seeing Thindle says, I am awkward and have trouble with social interactions. Streaming is a kind of therapy trying to get over. And I do think it's working. That's wonderful, Thindle. That's, you know, really awesome. I think it's the constant talking and having to elaborate and talking to chat in your own time and your own pace, I think is really good. So, I went to Luce, at Luce's talk, and then I started chatting to you afterwards, and then we became friends from that. But your app that you were building was using like Azure Cognitive Services to analyze facial expressions, wasn't it? To help you better understand people's expressions, because that's something that you freely admit that you struggle with, is reading people's faces and knowing, you know, if someone's being sarcastic or if they're, you know, doing a pun. And you built that app right there live on stage, and I was like, that is awesome.
Not quite. So the flow of the talk, it was an intro talk. So the flow of the talk was that I talked about what Xamarin is and Xamarin Forms, which is the shared UI, my favorite. That's when I live coded creating a counter app. I didn't live code creating the cognitive services app. What I did was demo it and then walk through the code. I'm good. Okay. I'm not that good.
I think you could do it. For sure.
Maybe. I've shared a link in chat anyway to what is now. It used to be called Body Language Assistant, but I renamed it to EmotiPal and rewrote it. So I've dropped a link in because I don't, like, literally, not only am I an open book, so is my code. Everything's public on GitHub.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, but I choose to keep it that way. So
Thindle, you could probably put it on a HoloLens if you tried. I know nothing about developing for HoloLens.
If it has a UWP version, or I create one, in theory, it could work.
So put a smiley face above everyone you meet. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Read facial expressions of people.
HoloLens, Thindle, and I'll let you know if it works.
So when we've done a conference talk together, that was nearly 2 years ago, would you believe it? We did that at NDC London, and we it was called Sprinkle Some Sparkle on It. And I built a backend in Azure Functions which would take an uploaded photo and put some sparkles on it. And then on stage, you taught me how to write a Xamarin Forms app and connect it to the Azure function. And we did that, didn't we? And it was tense, but we did it and it was awesome.
I don't remember it being tense. I just remember it being fun.
Oh no, it was tense, like with the spinning of the like the app trying to show the screen on the phone. We had that, and it was like, is it going to work? Is it going to happen? Hey, Jay Walter. We were having that problem with the phone being connected to the MacBook or something, and trying to mirror the screen so it would show on the big screen.
Probably. See, my brain just erases those memories. I just remember having a great time with you. And John Skeet knowing my name. That was that's the things I took from that talk. Having a great time and Mr. Famous Stack Overflow knowing who I was. Like that was the pinnacle for me.
Because he was sat in the second row next to Bill Wagner, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing in the audience? And then afterwards, I was going around and someone said, Bill Wagner's looking for you, Layla. And I was like, why is Bill Wagner looking for me? And Bill Wagner is a huge documentation writer. He writes lots of code for the .NET documentation. He's on the .NET Foundation. And he was like, he's hunting you down, basically. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go hide. Like, why? What was it that terrible? I didn't think it went that badly. I think Luce and I did a really good job. And he came down and he went, did you really just never do Xamarin Forms before on stage? And I went, yeah, I've never looked at them before. And he was like, you just both did amazingly. And we were like, and he's like, right, I'm going to go find Luce now because you were off somewhere else because I was trying to hide from Bill Wagner hunting me down. And he went off and found you to tell you the same thing. And I was like,
absolutely, yeah, when people that respected and that experienced, say take you to one side in the middle of a crowd to tell you that you did a great job, it's like, wow, this is how we do this stuff. It's not quite it was kind of slightly different experience, but I spoke at NDC Oslo a couple of weeks ago, so did you, but I was there in person. And at the end of my talk, our good friend Cliff took me to one side afterwards and said, oh, what you've just taught me about, I didn't know existed, but that's exactly what I need. And I'm like, it's those little things where you have an impact on somebody that just makes it worthwhile.
And this is quite a valid point. Thindle says he seems like an awesome person, actually looking for you to give you positive feedback. And I think this is really important for everyone to take away. Where I see so much negativity, like people only want to tell you when things are bad. People only want to comment on a workplace when they're bad. Everything is always when it's annoyed you enough to go and rant about it. If you see someone doing something that you think is awesome, or they share a tweet that helps you or a blog that helps you, just drop that person a line and just say, thank you, that really helped. Because I tell you what, when people have messaged me and said, Layla, that blog post you wrote really helped, it's like, wow, it's such an amazing validation. And I even have a story of someone really well known. You know John Galloway, don't you, Luce?
I do. I know John Galloway very well, yes.
Yeah. So many of you know that he's actually my personal tech hero. And when I eventually got to meet him and I plucked up the courage, and Martin Beebe introduced me because I'm like, oh my God, there's John Galloway. And he's like, it's just John. And I'm like, yeah, but he's my hero. And Martin's like, come on, I'll introduce him. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk to John. So we went over and it was in a bar in Stockholm. And John's like, Martin goes, oh, John, this is Layla, you're her hero. And he was like, And then I explained why he was my hero. And it was because I learned C# watching his course on the Microsoft Virtual Academy. And he was like, oh my God, wow. This was he did this course in 2013 or something. And he was like, this is absolutely amazing to know. Even that course all that way back helped someone. He goes, thank you so much for sharing that knowledge. So I think it's really important, don't you, Luce, just to tell people, because I bet you
Yes,
felt great when Cliff
I always
told
make
you.
a concerted effort to tell people, and if they've done a great job or they've helped me, because there's too much negativity in the world. Sometimes you just need to spread a bit of love and encouragement and positivity.
Absolutely. Yes, it was John Galloway and Christopher Harrison did the course together on MVC in .NET 4.3, probably 4.2. There's no, was it 4.2? I can't remember. It wasn't like the 4.6. It was still 4 something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you said it. Spread that bit of positivity is really amazing. So I guess we should share about how we discovered a speakeasy as well.
Oh yes.
So
That's a great story.
that was Prognet, which is the London.NET conference, which sadly is no longer a thing. It might come back. So that's where we met. We met at Prognet in 2018, and then we were both back at Prognet 2019. And Silicon Orchid was there with us, and we were like, right, it's late. I don't think there was food at the conference or something, and we're like, shall we go and find some dinner? So we went off in search of food, and we were looking. Some people were going over to Brick Lane, but we didn't want to go that far. So we walked over to Liverpool Street Station, and we were going to go to the Breakfast Club. Now, Breakfast Club is basically it's a restaurant that serves breakfast all day till late. And I remember you had a big stack of pancakes, didn't you, with loads of maple syrup?
I did.
And it looked amazing. It was like a proper stack. So we go in, and we're sitting down in this booth, and there's lots of people walking in, quite dressy people. And they're going to this big, old, huge Smeg refrigerator. You know, the really old-fashioned one, like from the 50s or something like that. And people are opening this refrigerator door and walking in. And we're like, I said, I think you had your back to it, Luce, didn't you? And I went to you, there are people walking into a refrigerator over there. And you're like, sorry, Layla, have you had a drink? And so we started watching. And we keep seeing like a host walk up, open the fridge door, and people walk through, and we're like, what is going on? So when we come to pay, I said to the waiter when he came and brought our bill over, I said, can you tell me how and why people are walking through a refrigerator? Oh, thank you, Silicon Orchid, for sharing it. And he's like, oh, well, you need a special password. And we're like, okay. He then said, I'm going to tell you the password. And it was like the mayor of Scaredy Cat Town, I think, was the password, something like that. And he said, I'm going to give you a tour. So the three of us went, and we went through the fridge, and through the fridge was like some dingy back staircase. And we're like, okay. And then we go down and down and down into a basement, and there's all these rooms, and it was all like dark wood and red, it's like fabric covered walls, and it was like a proper bar hidden in the fridge. And we're like, what is going on? And they just left us there, and we sort of just walked around, and we felt like everyone was quite dressy, and we were like in jeans and t-shirts. And so that's how we found a speakeasy in London.
Yeah, that's how 3 friends, including a teetotaler, ended up in a speakeasy.
Exactly. So thank you very much for finding that link, Silicon Orchid. That's awesome. Did that just go?
Oh, that was one of my favourite memories. You know, it's nice to have sort of occasions like that where it was just, you know, it was like you say, it was a mixture of, we didn't want to go all the way to Brick Lane, but also, you know, we all get a bit done with, you know, big crowds. We just wanted to go somewhere quiet. So yeah, we just went to Breakfast Club and found a speakeasy.
And you get to the point where you don't really want to talk much. And I knew like the 3 of us could just sit in companionable silence and stuff food in our face and not have to make awkward conversation. And no, Thindle, everyone wasn't in suits and hats and feathers. It wasn't quite the 30s.
I do have a hat with a feather, but
do.
I wasn't wearing it that day.
So another thing that Luce and I did was
We've had some adventures, you and I.
we have. So I wanted to run a women in tech type of event, like women and LGBTQA plus. There's more things in that now, Luce. So I'm sorry if I just
LGBTQIA plus is the current one.
Thank you. I'm not up with that one, so I'm not going to be able to say that one. Thank you for correcting me on that one, because I knew I hadn't got it right. So I was trying to run an event like that, and I was going to do it in Manchester, and Luce is in Manchester, and this was not long after we'd met, and I said, Luce, can I interest you in helping me host this event and organize it? And you're like, yes, I can. So I got the train. I had this awesome cake made, and I went on the train, and it was just down the road from where you lived, wasn't it? And we went,
which wasn't even deliberate. It was just a perfect.
It just happened.
It meant. More importantly, chat, the more important part of this is not only did we have a great cake, but because I live locally, I got to keep the leftover cake and take it home.
It was awesome. The cake, my friend made it here, and it was delicious. And you got to keep it. I took a bit home, and I froze a bit. It was great.
What we've not mentioned is it was a rainbow cake.
It was a rainbow cake. It was. I probably can find a picture of it. I'll see if I can find it. And
I quite like rainbows.
We managed to host the event, and you came. I went in like this huge floofy skirt with mesh underneath, very 50s, with huge giant roses on it, and you came dressed in a full like Mad Hatter's suit with your top hat and tails, and you just looked awesome.
So the bit of info that we've not mentioned yet is that the event was what's called Twilio Quest Tea Party. Now one does not go to a tea party without being dressed appropriately.
This is true. So I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to see if I have the pictures of it. I have. I've got it. I've got the pictures. So I'm going to. I've got you dressed as that. I think we can switch over to a desktop, Luce. I don't know. Hang on, let me have a quick look. Yes, I can probably share my desk. Is that going to be that one? Yay! Okay. I'm going to show. Let me click over. Oh, I've lost it now. Dual desktop. There we go. So here is a picture from the event. We did market it at women and non-binary individuals and allies. So we were in this cool old mill house. There's Luce looking absolutely splendiferous in your seat and top hat. You can see there's me in the background with my frou-frou skirt. We had like Alice in Wonderland, like tea party things, and just loads of fun stuff. It was a really awesome day, and we had winners, and it was just great. And I did one in Oslo as well, but that you helped me no end with that, and you really got into the spirit, which was absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. I love afternoon tea. And I love putting a suit on, any excuse to put on a 3-piece suit with top hat, pocket watch. Yeah. I've even got desk, funny enough. I've got these are cyberpunk goggles. They normally live on the hat.
Oh yes, I can see them on the hat here. And we've got Corey CLW in the chat as well. Hiya Corey, how are you?
The day just got better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a really awesome event. I'm going to see if I've got a picture of the cake. Oh, I do. I have a picture of the cake.
Yeah, chat needs to see this cake. You can understand why I was so happy that I got to take it home with me.
I'm going to bring this back up and back over. So you can see it was really tall, and I had pink and purple hair for the event, and it was delicious. And you can see in the background that I had this giant sugar like 8-bit like teapot and cup on top of it, and it was the venue was all sustainable, about sustainability, so it was all vegetarian and vegan. It was really interesting. It was such a great venue, and as you see, it was all like this old brickwork, so it was just all in all a fantastic day.
So we need to organise more events like that together, even if it's not a Twilio Quest party.
Yeah,
just a tech tea.
That's it.
And it's good.
I think that would be awesome. I'd love to do that with you, Luce. So how about you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing since you joined Mongo? And I know it was always your career goal to move into developer relations. So why don't you share like your journey to it and like how you're getting on, what your first 6 months have been like?
Yeah, so wow, I can't believe it's been 6 months. It's madness. So I think like a lot of people that work in DevRel, it's one of those where you're doing what essentially is DevRel in your spare time for fun, like creating content, Twitch streaming, writing blog posts, and you just think, oh, I love doing this. And then someone goes, oh, by the way, did you know you can get paid to do this stuff? And I was like, what? Excuse me? Like, sign me up. Pass me the pen. But it's a bit like I was talking to, if I don't know if you know him, but Rockstar74, who's a Twitch streamer, the other day about DevRel, and he was sort of asking a few of us in DevRel some questions about what it's like to get into DevRel, and it is a little bit like a secret society. A lot of the time, it's about who you know, and so a lot of the time you kind of get into it because you meet another developer advocate who then kind of helps you out. And so I've been trying to get into developer relations for a while, but then I just couldn't find opportunities, and like both you and White Panther were very big advocates of kind of helping me do that, and we're keeping an eye out for what would be appropriate posts. And it was kind of, so it took a while to get there, and I'd seen a few posts because you'd kindly shared some links with me to places I could look. And I'd seen this MongoDB link, but I hadn't like job posting, but I hadn't thought too much about it because I'd kind of heard of them vaguely, but that was about it. But then, you happened to know someone there, so you introduced me, and then we had a conversation, and it was like speaking to my boss was like chatting to a friend, and in the first 5 minutes, and I was like, wow, okay. So that went really well, and I was very, very, I was very lucky to sort of land the job quite quickly. And it's been an incredible but very fast 6 months. Like it's not been overwhelming fast. Like it's not been like I feel like I've been running on an escalator going down while I'm trying to go up. Like it's been great, but it's been really positive, and it's been a great environment. And I work on a team that focuses on content. So a lot of what I've been doing in the past 6 months is creating articles, mainly for our like mongodb.com website, where we have a lot of like how-to articles or best practices or comparisons. We're not associated with them as authors because it's not about giving us credit. It's about creating content for developers based on research done on keyword searches on Google. So it's very much about SEO and we have a developer first mindset of, well, what are people looking for? Because if they're looking for these things, then we will create content for you around them. And it might be anything from how to use, I've written an article on how to use MongoDB and TypeScript, and I wrote a whole tutorial and companion repo with starter and finish branches. But then I've also written articles comparing, say, MongoDB and Couchbase DB. Like, it's all about what seem to be getting searches and hits in Google, and what we maybe need to create content about to help people. And, it's brilliant. And so I've been doing a lot of content creation, but I've also been trusted to bring my skills that I had that got me the job in the first place into the role. So I've been able, I've got a Twitch series on our MongoDB Twitch channel now called Learning with Luce, where from 2022 we're moving to a monthly cycle, but I'll have guests on each month who will, either an article that they've written that's like, is publicly by them because it's more personal to them, that they've written in their style, or it's, an article that we happen to know they wrote but the public doesn't, from like the .com site, and they'll come and teach me something, whether it's database schemas or using MongoDB and Python, or we've got one coming up in January where we've actually got external guests from Postman.
Awesome.
And so, and it's been brilliant. So I've got to bring my, my experience to the role. And, it's not just writing content, it's Twitch streaming, or it's creating videos, or, I've been able to speak on MongoDB and .NET at different conferences because that's my speciality. And it's been a roller coaster, but it's been amazing.
And I've got a question for you, but Thindle has a question, and he's asking, is Cosmos DB based on MongoDB?
I don't know whether it's based on, but it does. Cosmos DB, from what I understand, when you create a Cosmos DB, and I know you've used it, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can actually pick which style of database you would actually like to use. I think you can use, traditional tabular relational databases, or you can pick document databases like MongoDB. Now, personally, if you want to use document databases in MongoDB, use MongoDB Atlas, which is our databases service in the cloud, just because, yes, technically Cosmos DB uses MongoDB under the hood, but, it won't be the latest and greatest. And, we have a free tier. So you don't have to spend any money to play with it. So shameless plug, but it's genuinely true. I tried using Cosmos DB before I started, got confused, reached out to the team, and they're like, oh yeah, that's not really officially supported, like you're better off using Atlas, here you go. So
oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's based on MongoDB, but yes, there is a relation because of the document side of it. But yeah, you're better off using Atlas.
So you're doing something really exciting now as well, aren't you?
I am, and I know exactly what you're coming on.
I know. Shall I drop that bomb for you? You're authoring a book, aren't you?
I am. So yeah, I'm in the process of writing a book called beginning with beginning with MongoDB Atlas and .NET. So there actually isn't. I did my research and I was doing the book proposal. There isn't a book out there about MongoDB and .NET specifically. There's beginner books on MongoDB, and of course, there's plenty of excellent, .NET books, and we've got friends who've written them. And but there isn't a book out there on it. And so, back in the summer, I gave a talk which I've given at user group since. And if anyone here organizes a user group and wants me to speak at a user group, reach out. My Twitter inbox is always open. But yeah, I gave a talk on an intro to MongoDB and .NET at the Liverpool .NET user group back in the summer. And someone from Apress who specializes in databases reached out to me and said, hey, I saw that you gave a talk on this subject. Do you think there's enough scope for a book? And I was like, well, I would have thought so, yes. And I started, left side of my brain kicked in, and I started to think about what kind of topics you might cover. And so, yeah, it kind of went from there. And so, it was, we just, I did the proposal, and I really like Apress as a publisher because as a potential author, their proposal process is really structured, and that suits me down to the ground. To fill out the proposal, I had to fill out everything from, rough number of pages, a proposed title, a table of contents, part names, chapter headings. And it was great because it meant that now that I'm coming to write the book, I'm lucky that they accepted and I've signed on the dotted line to write the book. I'm at a point now where it works, and I've now got a structure to follow. So yeah, by the end of 2022, I should hopefully be a published author.
That's amazing. I can't believe that you have to guesstimate how many pages. Thindle saying you basically had to propose like the entire book, that is so phenomenal, Luce. Huge congrats.
But the thing as well is they're really supportive and they work with you, because the way my editor Jonathan that I work with, the way he looks at it is, it doesn't have to be fully accurate, but the more a detail that we can try and put together to start with, not only does it increase your chances of the proposal being accepted, but it also, gives you an opportunity to feel more prepared. It's like, well, if the proposal pretty much just gives you the outline, all you've got to do is, color between the lines, really.
That is just awesome. I mean, I can see how that can work, because when I write a blog post, I do quite an outline, and then, as you say, you sort of have your headers, and then you put that. But that's a blog post. That's like a 2,000 words or
sound
something.
far more organised than I do when I write blog posts. I just have an idea and then write it. Like my most successful blog post ever, I don't have stats to back this up, but based on the number of people who know who I am because of this blog post, I can safely say it's that blog post, was just Sociable Steve is actually in the chat, taught me how to do a pixelated screen on OBS. So I just went, oh, well, people can benefit from this. I'll write it down. There was no plan. It was just I'll just take some screenshots and throw some instructions together, and it's gone really well. But I wish I was as organized as you.
Well, maybe it's what holds me back from writing more content. And I do like an outline. I go through what I hope people will achieve from it, and then I sort of fill it out and write it. But I'm not very good at just going like blah, 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 and just letting the brain dump. I overthink things and I think, well, why would anyone want to read this? Maybe that's my imposter syndrome coming through. I'm like, yeah, why am I even bothering?
So as you know, as one of my dear friends, I was finally diagnosed with ADHD back in July, but it's one of those things you've known for a long time that you have, and so, but a lot of the time when I've been sort of ever since lockdown started, I was trapped working from home in a new environment. I've been spending way too much time watching productivity videos and reading about productivity related things. And one of the channels I watch is a productivity expert content creator who talks a lot about, productivity things and, getting started as a YouTuber. And he's got, over 2 million subscribers now.
Wow.
But it's very exponential. You start off slowly, but then as you get more people, it increases bigger, and then suddenly it shoots up. But one of the things he was saying, and I think it ties in with what you were saying, is that when it comes to creating YouTube videos, it's quantity over quality. Have you ever heard the Pottery Parable?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm such a nerd. So the Pottery Parable says a teacher has a group of 30 students, and she splits them into 2 groups of 15 and says, right, this group of 15, you're going to go ahead and create 1 pot a day every day for 30 days.
Right.
And the other group, you're going to have 30 days to create 1 pot. Now, it turns out that the group that made 1 pot a day every day for 30 days made better pots by the end of it, because they learned something each time, rather than having 30 days to overthink the pot. So it's the same with blog posts, videos, any content. Don't overthink it so much. Just get the content out there, because you'll probably be surprised that even if you don't think it's good enough, just press the go button, because someone will benefit from it.
That is so insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And as you were starting to tell it, I knew what the answer was going to be. And I'm like, I bet you that each day they made subtle improvements over each pot. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. Yes. Thank you.
So don't worry about perfecting. Don't be such a perfectionist. Just hit the go button and someone will benefit.
I keep trying to practice progress over perfection. I'm not great at getting there, but I am trying to practice that and just think, just go forth and do, and not worry about it so much later. Just do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people struggle with it. Lots of my friends, even CLW, saying the same. It's they're bad at progress over perfection, and it's relatable because so many people I know are like that. And so I always tell them stories like this, and then they make jokes that I'm like their life coach, but I'm not intending to be. It's just I'm just as bad.
Yeah. I mean, I can preach it all day long, but taking my own medicine is completely not something I'm very good at.
I know. I think I need to share the story of the Pottery Parable more, I think, so more people know about it, because it's just true.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think we're all terrible at do as I say, not as I do. Like I want to create more YouTube videos, but whenever I go to video edit, I've always got these really ambitious ideas in my head of what I want it to look like, but I don't have those video skills. I've done a bit of, actually, do you know what? I don't think I've ever told you this, but did you know that I'm better at Premiere Pro and all those things thanks to you?
Thanks to me. Why me?
Because you were Twitch streaming, going through some of the learn things on Adobe products, so I gave it a good go. And now that I've gone through the learning on Adobe products, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually worth me paying £30 a month for. So now I do, thanks to you.
Well, I'm happy to be helpful. You see, and that's why it's lovely to hear that you've helped someone and in the most random of ways.
Yeah, no, I'd used Adobe products, especially Photoshop, a long time ago, but found it massively overwhelming. But then watching you go through, I think it was no, it wasn't Illustrator, it
It
was
was After Effects.
After Effects, yes. And watching you go through After Effects, I realized that now Adobe have introduced the Learn
Yeah.
window into their products, which opens the first time you open a new Adobe product. So they're literally going, hey, you might not know this. Come, take my hand. Let's go and have a look.
And they are
And that
awesome.
literally changed my whole mindset. I am not scared of Adobe products anymore because you introduced me to Learn.
Yay, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
And yeah, Silicon Orchid is right. Premiere Pro is ace. It's overwhelming, but it's ace. But because it gives you the confidence to be a bit more ambitious, I now understand keyframes, which is how you animate things. And, I understand scaling and the way that you can make things zoom in, or all these different things you can do. But it's almost like it's almost given me too much confidence, because now I get over ambitious ideas in my head of what I want a video to look like, then can't achieve them, and then just go, oh, never mind, I won't put this video out.
Yeah. I have that kind of idea, and then I'm like, go to Silicon Orchid, I'm like, can you do this video for me?
Yeah, when it comes to anything graphics related, Silicon Orchid and his Unity scenes is an absolute pro.
Yeah, he'll deny that he's graphically minded, but he's very artistic. He can do it in Unity. He can do awesome stuff in Premiere Pro, and he's very good at photography as well. And he's much more artistic than he thinks. I've got a really stiff neck.
We probably shouldn't say too much without him as an expert, and people will start asking him to help them with video editing.
Oh, he's not going to help anybody. He doesn't think, like. He's like, oh no, I'm not good enough at it. He's got a bit of that old, IS over there. So what are your plans for the next year? I nearly said 2020 because it feels like that, but 2022. What are you thinking what would you like to achieve? What's on your bucket list? You've already done so much this year. What's going to top that?
I know, yeah. Well, so it's funny you asked me that, actually, because we're currently going through what we call P&G at MongoDB, which is performance and growth. Okay. So, every company calls it something different. I'm very lucky that, I'm excelling at my job, because I'd never done DevRel before, so I had to be brought in at a more junior level because I'd not done it before. But obviously, because I'm, I do it in my spare time, so I'm not afraid to admit that, I'm not bad at my job. I do a lot. I help a lot. I have quite a breadth of skills. And so, hopefully 2022 will bring a promotion away from the junior part of my job title.
That would be great.
So that's one goal. And but it's just funny you ask that, because I've actually had to think about these things recently. Of course, publishing my book is a huge goal for 2022. And as Thindle said, shamelessly plugging it as much as possible once it's done.
Plug away.
I'm really very proud of that.
Book writer, author.
Yes, but I don't know what I'm going to do with my Twitter bio, because I've already filled out the max characters in the Twitter bio, because there's so many, what's that saying? There's so many strings to my bow that I just don't know what to put in my Twitter bio. I almost need to have a detox of what's worth mentioning anymore.
Or just link off to a Linktree style thing. Yeah.
Or a gist.
Something like that. Just go and have a single pager. Dominic, my old teammate at Twilio, he had something Dominic.me, something like that. You could do, there was a service where, it was your name dot me or something, and it was you could go and put all the things about you and then put a link to that site in your Twitter profile. So you could do that, or on your personal blog you could have just a one pager that is just a list of things about you, and not all the navigation, and link to that even, or Linktree. Yeah. So
it sounds really bad to say that I do so many things that I've run out of space on Twitter, but it's true. There's lots of things that I do that I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact that I help people battle imposter syndrome by just being really open about it. I'm proud that I'm an developer advocate at MongoDB. I'm proud that I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm proud that I blog. I'm proud that I'm writing a book. There's so many things that I'm proud of, which, it's nice to just take a moment to realize that you do a lot of stuff.
I think it's awesome, and you should be so proud of yourself. So it's really great to hear that you are proud of yourself. And I think there are worse things in life to complain about than having an overfull Twitter bio and not knowing what you need to cut. I think it's fantastic that there are so many things that are awesome about you that you want to share with people. So that is really awesome.
Of course, I haven't even mentioned it, but of course, being a Microsoft MVP is another thing that goes on my profile because I'm proud of it.
Yes, and that is fantastic. So I'm just trying to see. No, just more about progress over perfection. Silicon Orchid just saying that he's yet another person who is in the perfection bucket. We all just need to be kind to ourselves and say it's okay. We'll just go ahead, stick it in there, and hope for the best. And the thing is, if something's really good, you can iterate on it, isn't it? So is this? You've been an MVP now. Is it 4 or 5 years now, Luce?
Oh, I became an MVP on the 1st of June 2018.
Oh, wow. So you've been there.
I've been an MVP longer than I've known you.
Yes, you have. Because I met you and you were already an MVP, which was awesome.
I was.
Yeah.
And people think I'm crazy that my first ever public speaking talk, I decided to live code as part of it because no one had told me that was a risky business.
Yeah, I did do a bit of live coding in my very first conference talk as well. We were made to at Twilio, so everyone. Well, my first conference talk. This is not my first meetup talk, so I don't count those. So I did a bit of live coding in my first one, but. Yeah, we were made to. They used to make us do drills at Twilio, so yeah, we were very good at doing that.
I'm also a Twilio champion. I just don't do anything. To deserve it.
I think you probably do. You're often hanging out with Margaret on the Twilio Quest stream, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but that's for Margaret more than anything. That's just because sometimes she doesn't have any guests and she prefers to have company. So I just jump on there and we have a great time talking about accessibility and just ranting about life.
See, that's it. You're a champion person. Thindle was saying, how long have I been an MVP? I've had the award 3 times. I'm just looking at my award is in front of me. So I got mine in sometime in 2019. I think it was April 2019 I got it. So yeah.
I remember it happening because I was super excited.
It is very exciting when you get it. It's kind of a little bit weird.
I got to say nice things. It was great. I got asked for a testimonial, so I wrote one. So make sure that you got it.
Yay! I think I had to do one about streaming. I had to write a mini thing about why I stream as an MVP. So that's cool. But you are a champion for lots of different people. And you've done a lot with haven't you done global CFPs? You're always offering to help people with their write their CFPs, call for papers.
Oh yeah,
to submit
absolutely.
to conferences.
So the reason that I got into conference speaking was because I'd sort of vaguely thought about it, but not really. But the great Dylan Beattie, that a lot of people know, wonderful person, he posted a tweet that said, if anyone wants their CFP reviewed, my inbox is always open. So I was like, well, don't ask, don't get. So I reached out to him and asked him to have a look at my, funny enough, CFP for ProgNet 2018. And, he actually said it was a really good CFP because I'd already done some research,
Yeah.
into, a CFP. It's always good to have kind of a bit of a story as to why you're giving the talk, then what they'll learn, what you'll talk about and what they'll learn from it. There's 3 little kind of progressions. So I had a pretty good starting point anyway. He just made a few tweaks to it. But yeah, his help is what, helped me refine my skills as a CFP abstract writer. And obviously also he happened to organize ProgNet. So he also got me into my first conference, but just, his help is what got me into it. So I'm very much about paying it forward. And so yeah, if people ever want, help with CFPs, and people have reached out to me, my inbox is always open. I don't claim to be an expert, but I'll always try and offer you advice, the most genuine advice I can give from my own personal experience.
And I think, that's really awesome. You don't need to be an expert, because sometimes these experts aren't always approachable. And I think just being authentic is something that makes people more approachable. I think that's really fantastic that you do that. And you've been on lots of selection committees too now, haven't you? So you must see a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been on an agenda committee for NDC a couple of times now. So 3 times. So, NDC Melbourne, which was a really weird one. I was joining a CFPs in the middle of the night.
Oh my goodness.
But that was all online, so no free trip to Australia for me. Then NDC London 2021, which is all virtual, and then NDC 2022. I've been on the agenda committee for, and we actually met up in person. But yeah, certainly, I don't claim to be an expert, but I also have that hat of I've been on an agenda committee for a very established and respected conference. Yeah. So I can tell you what kind of things are being looked for. If you submit an abstract with a bunch of spelling mistakes in it, probably won't get looked at. If you only submit one line that tells me absolutely nothing, then yeah, it's not going to get taken seriously. Because the thing you need to people need to understand a lot of the time is that there's no change from the CFP to what goes on the website. What you submit to your CFPs is what the potential attendees in your talk are going to see. So you're not going to convince people to go to your talk if you only write one line. So it's the same for CFP.
That's it. Now, Thindle is saying, are you a time traveller for 2022? No, this was the selection committee for NDC London 2022, which is in January. So not a time traveller. They have to select them beforehand.
No time travelling here, if only.
I almost was on a selection committee. I was on the selection committee for Prognet 2020, and then Skills Matter went into receivership, and Prognet was no more, so I wasn't on a committee anymore. So I almost got to be on a selection committee.
I'm on the wrong computer, otherwise I'd play one of my sounds.
We can just do it together, 3, 2, 1. I like that. That was now in harmony. Sorry, folks.
I can tell I used to be a musician.
I always threaten to sing if chat get funny a bit.
Oh, hey! I wrote a rap the other day.
You wrote a rap?
I wrote a rap parody of Gangster's Paradise called Coding Paradise.
Oh my god! Are you taken after Dylan Beattie? Is there a video of this rap?
And I couldn't concentrate, so my brain decided to do that.
I see. Sad trombone in the round. Yes, absolutely. Rounds of sad trombone. Trombone. Oh my goodness. So are you streaming again at the moment, Luce? Because
I am. I streamed most of last week.
Yeah.
Because it was engineering week at work, and I was working on a Xamarin Forms project that used MongoDB Realm, and so I streamed all of it.
Fantastic. So we've got Sociable Steve saying that his goal includes a CFP and to give an actual talk. Amazing! Yay! That's really exciting.
Steve is a dear friend of mine. I went to Steve's house a few weeks ago and we played Cards Against Humanity until we played. I counted it up. I think we did something like 79 rounds of Cards Against Humanity because our friend Dr. Dynamite brought all his official and unofficial expansion packs, and so there was a lot of questions to get through.
Yes, I've only played that once, and that was at DevSum. I played that with Dylan Beattie among other people, and that was good fun. And we used to play Exploding Kittens. Have you ever played Exploding Kittens?
I've played 2 rounds of Exploding Kittens in the pub after a hackathon that we then later won. So I've got good memories of Exploding Kittens.
Yes, so there's a thing. There was in 2019 a global Exploding Kittens leaderboard on the .NET speaker circuit. So all the .NET conferences, there were huge packs of Exploding Kittens going around with lots of rounds and a leaderboard, and it got quite competitive. That was 2019, before, you know, the world went to hell in a handbasket. So yes, we've done a lot of, there are some perks to being a speaker. You get to play on weird leagues.
No, I got a free concert the other week in
Wow.
NDC Oslo. Dylan Beattie, who not only is a great person, but he's also well known for writing software development and tech related parody songs.
Yeah.
He has a band with other speakers called Dylan Beattie and the Line Breakers, and they did a concert at the venue in Oslo. But in the middle of the conference, they changed the rules in Norway because there'd been an Omicron super spreader event in Oslo. And so everything was shutting down. So, yeah, Dylan and the Line Breakers can now claim to be the last performers at the Spectrum in Oslo for quite a while.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, this whole thing with Omicron now, I feel like a lot of travel is going to shut down again.
Yeah, I'm not really going anywhere.
No, it's hard, you know, to go on about that and see, you know, what the world will hold, because we thought we'd all be back to normal by now, with our injections and stuff. I tried to book my booster. Well, I have booked my booster. I could book it last night.
Mine's Thursday morning.
Mine is the 5th of January. That was the first appointment. So I tell you, Mr. Johnson, when he said everyone over the age of 18 by the end of the year, was lying. There's a surprise.
This is the thing. And the crazy thing was that I think the only thing that's given me a little bit of hope in humanity recently is the fact that so many people tried to get a booster jab yesterday that the system couldn't cope with it. Like, that's reassuring, because, to be honest, as someone who doesn't really go anywhere but does go out to see a personal trainer once a week, and before Omicron did at least go to the gym multiple times a week and go for a swim, that you see a lot of people not really respecting social distancing, not wearing masks. They just don't care.
Yeah.
So you get a bit cynical about the human race. It's been reassuring to know that it took me until this morning to get an appointment. And when I first tried to get an appointment yesterday, I was 15,000th in the queue.
But that queue moves quite quickly. That is a really interesting system, actually. I'm very impressed by this booking system. I tweeted about it a couple of weeks ago. I might try and see if I can move mine, because everyone over 18 now can have it, and I'm over 18, folks, so yay. So try and book one. So we are coming towards the end of our chat. Can you believe it, Luce? We've just been, I can believe it.
It's flown by.
We just chit chat all the time, and I knew time would fly.
We're good enough friends that we, at least once a month, you and I have a proper catch up. And and was it back in September? I think it was. We had a catch up that lasted about 2 hours.
It did. So it's like, oh my goodness, get on with some work now. Whoopsies. But that's a nice thing about this sort of, our job. I work flexible hours. So in the winter, I generally tend to work later and make the most of daylight. I think that's probably my favorite thing about DevRel, is the sort of owning your own time and schedule for a lot of people. So that's what I have, that privilege. So,
Yeah, me too. It's been made very clear to me on numerous occasions that I work for an output company, not an hours at your desk company.
Yeah.
Especially with my ADHD, where I struggle to concentrate a lot of the time. Like, just do what works for me. Like, no one bats an eyelid if I'm working at like 9 o'clock at night, because it normally means that I couldn't concentrate during the daytime.
Yeah.
And that's okay, as long as stuff's getting done in a timely manner, no one minds.
This is it. I'll take some time off during the week, and I'll do something on a weekend, and it is really nice to be afforded that flexibility. So I think that's probably my favorite thing, as well as doing basically all the things I love and getting paid for it. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
So let's see, Luce, when is your Learning with Luce stream starting? So let me give a
So
shout
I've had
out.
a few already, but the next one is going to be in. Let me have a look. I will check the date. I've also got another stream in January on the MongoDB channel. That's not Learning with Luce. It's just me streaming with a colleague. But so we're doing one on using no code with MongoDB Realm, which will be interesting. That's on the 20th of January at 3 p.m. I put BST, but it should be GMT because we're in.
Well, I've just
We're in
shared,
winter time.
given a shout out for Mongo. So go and follow, and you'll see when Luce is on. And also, I'm going to give you
the live stream where I've got guests from internally at MongoDB and also a developer advocate at Postman is on the 21st of January, I believe.
Okay, cool.
I should know the answer to that. I mean, this is what I mean. There's all these things going on. I have so much going on. I'm like, nearer the time I know about it, but it's like you remember all these details, like about the speakeasy, and I'd completely forgotten.
I am cursed with a very, 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 very good memory for most things. So
yeah, I mean, I have a good memory in some ways. Like my life is like almost like a silent film reel. Like there'll always be snippets of things I've done, or if it's a very specific event, I normally remember all of it, but I can never remember what I hear.
I just see Thindle says I do too, except the important things.
Yeah, I am. I'm a fountain of useless knowledge.
I tell you, maybe that's an age thing because Silicon Orchid can't remember like anything current, but can tell me like the voice actor from his childhood TV show that he watched maybe twice, and he'll just come out with it, and I'm like, sorry, what even is this show? And he's like, I don't know. So Thindle, don't. Yeah, did you just call me old? I did not call you old, but we all get older. Like 18 is older than 14, isn't it?
So was Steve calling us out on something I thought about but never got around to doing, which was explaining what CFP is.
Oh, I did say it's a call for papers. I did say that. So, but thank you. I said, a call for papers for you, those who don't know. So we did get that.
Yeah, when you want to speak at a conference, they open what's called call for papers. So you go onto a site. It's normally a website called Sessionize, but not always.
I hope it's Sessionize.
And you basically, you'll put a talk. Yeah, you'll put a title of what you think your talk will be called. Then, like what's called an abstract, so it will just summarize what your talk. Well, I recommend that you summarize what you'll talk about, why you're talking about it, what you'll talk about, and what attendees will learn. And then sometimes it'll ask for things like tags, just about what it's related to.
I'm gonna log in and show people.
An agenda committee will go through all these submissions and decide what topics. There's normally a first run through of which call for papers at least pass the quality check of they're long enough and make sense and aren't full of errors. And then they'll start to just try and build an agenda for a really good conference based on a mixture of the speakers, but mainly the topic.
So I'm going to show my Sessionize, folks. So this is what it looks like. These are all the conferences I've submitted for next year. So this is what it looks like.
Welcome to DevRel. If your Sessionize isn't full to the brim, you're not doing DevRel right.
So, this is what it comes through. And then, so you get to do things. It shows you, all the sorts of things that you've submitted for. You can see past events, so ones that you've been to before. Declined events, so like ones that I've been rejected from. There's usually a lot of red. And then there's sort of, you have discovering events. You can go and submit to these ones. You can have a look through there and they'll roughly know what you like. So you can go through and have a look and see if any of them take your fancy. And then you can, why we like it as Sessionize is because you can load all your conference talks into it. And then it's really easy to go and apply. So if I go and show you, I'll do one live right now. I love San Diego, so I am going to apply for this one. So they come up like this, and you can go and say, oh, I want one from my speaker file. I'm going to say, I want to talk about my understanding microservices, and it auto fills it for you. It's so good. And then you can go, oh, I'd like to do, San Diego, please. Oh, why not, but there we go. That's what I want. Both of them. Why not? And then you go,
I'd go to Microsoft Campus in the summer. I've only been once. It was great.
I've never been. So then you can go.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I got so when I.
Hang on, Luce. I just messed up our scenes. 1 second. I messed it up. Where are we? There we go. I pressed my Stream Deck, which changed my stream collection thing, and I lost you.
It happened.
So start again.
Yeah. So in 2018, I was lucky enough to be gifted as a member of the community a ticket to Microsoft Build 2018, which is their annual developer conference. I had to self-fund the flights and the hotel, but I semi-bankrupted myself for that because it was just so worth it. It wasn't. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but suddenly being told with about 3 weeks' notice that you need about £2,000, it's fun. So I got to go out there, but I went there for 7 days rather than just the conference because West Coast America, there's quite a time difference, and I wanted a couple of days to adjust before the intensity of the conference. And a friend of mine in the community who's also a Microsoft MVP, he collected me from the airport, and then we went to campus, and we got to have a bit of a tour. Not a complete tour of campus. Microsoft campus is huge. But, I got to go into a couple of buildings. I got to go into the building that at the time housed Mixer before they sadly are no more. So I got to meet some of the Mixer team. I got a tour of their accessibility lab, where they try, new controllers or techniques to, make gaming and product use as open as possible, regardless of your physical or mental ability.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing space. They had ones where I played Rocket League, where you jumped by moving your head forward.
Oh, wow.
And then they had a big TV that had speakers, but it was perfectly tuned by Dolby with their Dolby Atmos, and so those that are visually impaired, the sound was good enough that they could play first-person shooter games and know where the sound was coming from to shoot. It was honestly, it was an inspiring place.
That's amazing.
But so that was incredible. And then at the end of the conference, our friend Jim Bennett was kind enough to take me to Building 25, which is where Channel 9 is, and other cool things. Now, sadly, the studio for Channel 9 wasn't open while I was there because, unsurprisingly, the production team were allowed some time off after build. So I got to stand in the studio, but sadly, we didn't get to record anything. But I did get to take one of the little Channel 9 foam figures that you only find in the studio. But campus is an amazing place. They have restaurants and shops on campus because it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's so big that there's shuttle buses to take you between the buildings.
Yeah, I'd like to go if hopefully, well, maybe I'll get to go to that VS Live at HQ, or maybe MVP Summit. Who knows? That would be awesome.
Well, yeah, well, Microsoft have already said that there's not going to be any in-person events, as far as I know, in 2022.
Yeah.
Maybe like that VS Live at the end of 2022 in September, maybe. But yeah, certainly 2022 MVP Summit won't be in person. I'm kind of hoping it becomes in person again because I never got to go, but I should be able to go now. But I'm not sure whether they ever will because they've learned how to master doing it online.
But I don't know if there's the same sort of engagement with online. It's not, quite the same as being able to go and meet people. It is more inclusive.
Oh, yeah. I want to experience it because people always joke that as Microsoft MVPs, because we signed a lot of us have signed an NDA to be an MVP, stupid acronyms, non-disclosure agreement. So, we get access to things and we hear about things not only early, but much more candidly than they talk about publicly. But, people always joke that we're almost one step down from an employee. So, it will be a special atmosphere being on campus during MVP Summit, and I'd love to experience it.
I'd love to as well. So hopefully maybe one day we will, which would be fantastic. So as we draw to a close, Luce, where can people see you next?
Next will be... Good question. I'll probably Twitch stream at some point in the next few days, knowing me.
Fantastic.
I've been working on this mobile app, and I'm quite proud of some of the pages that look really pretty. And I got the data partitioning done per user, so there's now login, and then the data stored in MongoDB, and you only get back the data for your user, which was actually surprisingly easy. It was just some caveats I didn't know. And so I got that working the other day. So I've got a functional app. There's just more I want to do with it. So I think in the next few days, follow me on Twitch, streaming stuff with this mobile app if I get time.
And let me just give you one more shout out. And so make sure you go and follow Luce.
I mean, time feels like a bit like a magical dream right now, because between meetings and I've going to the gym, and then also I've got my booster jab, I'll find time to stream. I'm just not quite sure when.
Well, when you do, if people follow you, they'll get notifications. And I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute joy to catch up with you. I hope everybody enjoyed learning about your journey to DevRel and all the awesome things that you do. So yeah, shall we go back and raid Code It Live? They're going on and raising money for the New Story charity to try and get everyone in a home who's homeless, which I think is a great cause.
Absolutely.
And they're doing that all day. So we can go over there and say hello. We're trying to get to a certain amount so people can name Alyssa's weird stuffed lady squirrel that wears pearls. It's very disturbing.
I'm not even going to ask.
No, don't. So we'll be back here. Well, I'm going to take a break now for a few weeks, and I will be back with Christos Matskas in January 4th. I think the Tuesday is. So he's going to come and join us. And then the week after that, our very own CL Dubois is going to join me the week after.
So there for that. That's going to be no one can miss that. CLW is like I said to him the other day, is like he's a legend as a person, but he's also just got that silky smooth voice. It just makes you feel like everything's going to get better.
A complete radio DJ voice for sure.
Yeah, no. If I ever write a book, I want CLW to do. If my textbook ever gets turned into an audio book, I want CLW to be my narrator.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So, all right then, folks. Watch out for Luce's streams. You can find Luce on Twitter at Luce Carter 1, the number 1. Let me just pop that on. Twitter.com/Luce Carter 1. There we go. It looks like Code It Live is finishing their 2 hours, and they're going to be heading over to C# Fritz to finish the time. So that was good timing that we were doing that. Thank you so much again, Luce, and thank you everyone for joining us and watching. We will see you after the holidays. Have a fantastic holiday season and a new year, and we'll see you next year. How weird is that to say? Dun, dun, dun. All right, folks, we'll sort out who we're raiding. Hang around. I think we're going to go over to Fritz. Yep, I'm going to set that up now. Oh, no, not that bit. I've got to try and figure this out. How do I raid? So we'll go over and say a big hello. We'll see you next year. Bye.